Who was Vissarion? Throughout history, many religious leaders have claimed to speak for Jesus. Some have even claimed to be Jesus himself. Yet Vissarion stands out from almost every other claimant. Why? First, Vissarion deliberately adopted a Christ-like appearance. Long hair, a beard, white robes. These are features many people associate with Jesus. Whether intentional or not, the imagery immediately created a connection in people's minds. Even those who rejected his claims could not ignore the symbolism. His followers believed in the Bible and viewed themselves as a continuation of Christianity. But there was a difference. Everything ultimately pointed back to Vissarion himself. The familiar symbols remained, but the center of devotion changed. Third, Vissarion rarely spoke negatively about Jesus. In fact, he often spoke about Christ with respect. In a famous Vice documentary, he appeared far more reverent toward Jesus than the interviewer himself. This made Vissarion especially appealing to people from Christian backgrounds. He did not reject Jesus. He claimed to continue his mission. But once you move beneath the surface, major differences appear. Vissarion's followers accepted a text called the Final Testament. This collection contains teachings that differ sharply from historic Christianity. Among them were ideas about sharing wives, aliens being soulless beings, and Vissarion serving as the Christ for the modern age. These teachings conflict with core Christian beliefs. Christianity teaches one earthly life, not a cycle of new identities. Christianity teaches salvation by God's grace through faith. And Christianity teaches that Christ will return publicly for the whole world to see. For that reason, Vissarion's teachings cannot simply be viewed as another branch of Christianity. So why did people follow him? The answer seems to be found largely in personal experience. When followers share their testimonies, they often say things like, "I just knew. He gave me something I was missing. He changed my life." These experiences were clearly meaningful to them. But intellectual arguments for why Vissarion was Jesus were rarely provided. For many followers, experience seemed to outweigh historical evidence or theological examination. Authorities accused him and close associates of psychological, emotional, and physical abuse, along with financial exploitation. In 2025, he was sentenced to 12 years in a maximum security prison. Today, the movement is only a shadow of what it once was. The organization itself was dissolved by the Russian government. Some followers remain in the Siberian communities, but the movement is far smaller than it was at its peak. At one time, thousands of people around the world followed Vissarion. Today, only a fraction remain. What can we learn from Vissarion? His story reveals the power of symbolism. It reveals the human desire for belonging. And it reveals how charisma can influence sincere people searching for meaning. For Christians, figures like Vissarion remind us why discernment matters. Every spiritual teacher must ultimately be measured against Jesus Christ. The Jesus of the New Testament is very different from Vissarion. Jesus welcomed the overlooked. Jesus proclaimed salvation by God's grace. Jesus lived openly among his followers. Jesus died on the cross, and according to Christianity, rose bodily from the dead. The biblical Jesus remains the standard by which all later claimants must be judged. No matter how convincing a modern figure may appear, Christianity teaches that God's redemptive work was completed through Christ. Because of that, there is no need for another Christ. and that is why I reject Vissarion's claims.